So we've seen the valedictory from the former Prime Minister Scott Morrison. Joining me now is someone that worked with him very closely over many years is Yaron Finkelstein, is Scott Morrison's former principal private secretary when he was PM. Thanks for being with us.
Pleasure.
It did seem to me, looking at the former PM speech, that it's not something you can say of every outgoing politician, but he looks comfortable in his own skin right now, happy with what he contributed.
I think that's exactly right. And he's quite focused on making sure that he leaves this august institution with no bitterness. And he is in a very good place. That's good. And as he said, not everyone achieves that, but he has. So I think that's why you saw such graciousness from Stephen Jones. He leaves this place head held high and moving on to different things.
And when he looks back at what was an extraordinary period of time, and he also was generous, and I think appropriately so, mentioning Josh Frydenberg, because they were very much a partnership in that period, but getting through COVID was obviously his greatest legacy. That's how he'll reflect on it.
I think so. And it was so big at the time that it probably takes us all some time to think back at that time to appreciate just how significant initiatives like JobKeeper were. He's still stopped in the street every day by a small business person who said, "You have no idea just how important it was that the government brought in JobKeeper to get me through that." And 1 million jobs were saved, 700,000 businesses were supported. It's pretty significant.
Many of us just want to move on from it, but I remember vividly going in there for the briefings at the time in the middle of the crisis and seeing the Prime Minister, and he'd talk to us, and I'm not saying he was, but I felt daunted. The whole thing just felt so imposing on our country and the world at that moment, at the peak of the crisis.
It's true. And I think that we see a way to measure other governments and their responses, because everyone was dealing with the same thing. It wasn't unique to Australia. So it gave us a chance to see who could get their country through it, who struggled. And I think on that basis, I think we should all be very proud that Australia did very well out of it. And that's both at an economic level and also on a health perspective. And it'll take us, as I said, some time to appreciate that. Hopefully not the next time we have to confront something as daunting as a pandemic. But it was an extraordinary achievement, not just by Scott Morrison and his government, but all Australians to have gotten through that in the way we did.
And 3 years in office, do you think, as you look back on it for Scott Morrison, that it's sped up, that the political cycle and the lifespan of our leadership has sped up with the news cycle and so on?
Without a doubt. I think that talk of governments automatically signing up for 2 terms and 3 terms is just nonsense. I think it has sped up, as you put it, and it's very difficult to keep an engagement with the Australian electorate because things have gotten so fast, the issues are more complicated. So I think we have seen the end of certainty in a way, to quote someone far more august than both of us, but it is, politics is changed, not just because of the pandemic, a range of factors, but it has definitely changed.
And I know the former PM is going into various roles, a lot of it in terms of defence, security, foreign policy focus. How do you think he'll reflect on his contribution when it comes to things like AUKUS?
Well, I think that it's actually in reverse. It's others who've reflected on his contribution. One of the reasons that I imagine he's got these extraordinary opportunities, particularly in the United States, where they have genuinely appreciappreciated the critical role he played in creating AUKUS.
Congratulations to Scott Morrison, and we've known him a long time on this program as well, so we wish him all the best and wish you all the best. Great to see you, Yaron. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Yaron.
Yaron Finkelstein, former Principal Private Secretary to Scott Morrison.